Beautiful people, it's your man, it's your friend, it's your brother Cordell Glass, and reading the Bible is vital. Let's go. Hey, I'm so excited that you took the time to check out this video today. We're going to hop into reading 2 Kings chapter 11. What takes place on this channel was we just read one chapter per day and see what the Lord's saying to us as a people through it. Also so that we can get some biblical proficiency and find that reading the Bible is actually very enjoyable. So hopefully I'm helping you to make it that. So let's jump in. New Living Translations, 2 Kings chapter 11. Queen Athaliah rules in Judah. When Athaliah, the mother of King Ahaziah of Judah, learned that her son was dead, she began to destroy the rest of the royal family. This was back in 2 Kings chapter 9. After Jehu became the king, he destroyed King Ahaziah. He killed him. Verse 2. But Ahaziah's sister Jehosheba, the daughter of King Jehoram, took Ahaziah's infant son Joash and stole him away from among the rest of the king's children who were about to be killed. She put Joash and his nurse in a bedroom, and they hid him from Athaliah, so the child was not murdered. So weird. I wonder why, after finding out her son died, why would she want to kill her son's kids or anybody else in the family? Well, if anything, you would think that she would want the family to live on with hopes that someone else in her lineage would become the next king. But really strangely, she decided to murder them all. But thank God for the sister here of King of Ahaziah. Thank God for his sister here. So verse 3, Joash remained hidden in the temple of the Lord for 6 years while Athaliah ruled over the land. So she ruled over the land. Maybe it was just a power move. Maybe she maybe she thought somehow she was going to be immortalized. She would never die and she would be the queen forever. I don't know. It's really weird. If anybody knows why Athaliah wanted to kill off all her family members, definitely share in the comments. I'm really curious to know why that is. Verse 4, revolt against Athaliah. In the 7th year of Athaliah's reign, Jehoiada the priest summoned the commanders, the Karite mercenaries, and the palace guards to come to the temple of the Lord. He made a solemn pact with them and made them swear an oath of loyalty there in the Lord's temple. Then he showed them the king's son. Jehoiada told them, "This is what you must do. A third of you who are on duty on the Sabbath are to guard the royal palace itself. Another third of you are to stand guard at the Sur Gate, and the final third must stand guard behind the palace guard. These 3 groups will all guard the palace. The other 2 units who are off duty on the Sabbath must stand guard for the king at the Lord's temple. Form a bodyguard around the king and keep your weapons in hand. Kill anyone who tries to break through. Stay with the king wherever he goes." So the commanders did everything as Jehoiada the priest ordered. The commanders took charge of the men reporting for duty that Sabbath, as well as those who were going off duty. They brought them all to Jehoiada the priest, and he supplied them with the spears and small shields that had once belonged to King David and were stored in the temple of the Lord. These were the shields and spears that King Solomon had put in the temple after the temple was built he did that in honor of his father, King David. It says here, verse 11, the palace guards stationed themselves around the king with their weapons ready. They formed a line from the south side of the temple around to the north side and all around the altar. Then Jehoiada brought out Joash, the king's son, placed the crown on his head and presented him with a copy of God's laws. They anointed him and proclaimed him king, and everyone clapped their hands and shouted, "Long live the king!" The death of Athaliah, verse 13. When Athaliah heard the noise made by the palace guards and the people, she hurried to the Lord's temple to see what was happening. When she arrived, she saw the newly crowned king standing in his place of authority by the pillar, as was the custom at the times of coronation. The commanders and the trumpeters were surrounding him, and people from all over the land were rejoicing and blowing trumpets. When Athaliah saw all this, she tore her clothes in despair and shouted, "Treason! Treason!" Then Jehoiada the priest ordered the commanders who were in charge of the troops, "Take her to the soldiers in front of the temple and kill anyone who tries to rescue her." For the priest had said she must not be killed in the temple of the Lord. So they seized her and led her out to the gate where the horses enter the palace grounds, and she was killed there. Jehoiada's religious reforms, verse 17. Then Jehoiada made a covenant between the Lord and the king and the people that they would be the Lord's people. They also made a covenant between the king and the people. And all the people of the land went over to the temple of Baal and tore it down. They demolished the altars and smashed the idols to pieces, and they killed Mattan, the priest of Baal, in front of the altars. So now we have in Judah as well as in Israel, we have the altars of Baal torn down. Jehoiada the priest stationed guards at the temple of the Lord. Then the commanders, the Karaite mercenaries, the palace guards, and all the people of the land escorted the king from the temple of the Lord. They went through the gate of the guards, and into the palace, and the king took his seat on the royal throne. So all the people of the land rejoiced, and the city was peaceful because Athaliah had been killed at the king's palace. Again, just as we saw in 2 Kings chapter 9, peace was brought back into that land because an evil woman had died. In 2 Kings chapter 9, it was Jezebel. When she was wiped out, there was peace in the land again. When here Athaliah being wiped out, there's now peace in this land. Verse 21, Joash was 7 years old when he became king. My goodness. I think that's probably the most powerful verse in that whole chapter, is that Joash became a king at age 7. I don't know the fullness of his decision making at age 7, but some people today can be so quick to dismiss the wisdom of children, the wisdom of youth, can be so quick to say, well, you haven't experienced this, you haven't experienced that, you're still wet behind your ears. But God can use whomever, whenever, however he chooses to. He can bestow great wisdom and knowledge and understanding, download it straight from heaven into the minds and hearts of people without them ever having prior knowledge of it, prior experience of it. God has the ability to do such things. Sure, it's probably more likely that someone that's 37 or 57 or 77 is going to have much more wisdom than someone that's 27, 17, or 7, but it may not always be the case. It may not always be the case. There's people I know that are 17, 27, 37 that have far greater wisdom than those that are 47, 57, 70, or 77 for that matter. And so we can't be so quick to dismiss somebody because they're young, because we think that, oh, what does a 7-year-old know? No, man, when my 5-year-old speaks, I listen, because I know that God speaks to him. Even at 5 years old, God speaks to him. And there's some things that he may say that I need to take heed to. There's some things that may be released out of his mouth that I should take heed to. When my youth, I'm a youth pastor, when my youth speak to me, I listen carefully to what they have to say, and never have this mindset of, oh, I have far more experience than them. I'm much older than them. I'm twice their age. Surely I know more than them. And the reality is I might know more than them. I might, about some stuff. But there may be an area of life, there may be one particular subject, there may be a certain idea within a subject that God has given them some revelation about. Even if they didn't realize it as they're speaking it, they may be getting the revelation. Here's the thing about God is, sometimes I think about myself. Sometimes God uses me to release knowledge, wisdom, and understanding into people's lives, and I never even had the revelation until the moment of speaking it. Literally being a channel, being a vessel, surrendered to be used by God. At any given moment, he can release something afresh through my mouth that I didn't have prior knowledge of until that moment. And so he can do that for any of us, even for somebody that hasn't fully submitted their vessel to God. He can use them. If God can speak through a donkey, if he can make the rocks cry out, if he can do those things, surely he can use a child. Surely he can use someone like me that has spent countless hours studying the Word of God, laying myself before the Lord in prayer, being conscientious of his presence in my life throughout my day. Surely he can use you. And so pastors watching this, church leaders in any capacity, don't for a second think that you can't learn from those in your congregation. Don't think for a second you can't learn from those that you're mentoring. Keep a fresh mind, keep a fresh heart. Don't become haughty, thinking that you know better, because you may not. You may not. Let's stay humble. God honors our humility, and he resists the proud. So God bless you. I don't have anything else to say regarding this chapter. If you do, please leave it in the comments. If you do, please leave it. If you're watching any of this on Facebook, perhaps, please leave it on Facebook. I love you guys. Please like this video, share this channel with somebody else, share the video with somebody else. Please subscribe if you haven't already to reading Cordell Glass. Reading the Bible is vital. And hit the notification bell so that, and click on all, so that every time I upload a video, you can be one of the first to know about it. So keep me in prayer. I'll keep you in prayer, and catch you out soon. Check you out soon, rather. God bless.